Hi, welcome to the National Critics' Choice Online News. And today we have David Herzog, who's with us today, and who has actually released his previous book called "Natural to Supernatural Health," one of the bestsellers, and also "Glory Invasion," which sold over 50,000 copies in the first year. Now, David Herzog is the president of DHM and Sedona Naturals LLC, and also he's author of 7 books. Wow. And now he's got a great track record, and David Herzog is going to release his new book published by Siloam, which is a Charisma House publication, Jumpstart 21 Days. Mr. David, welcome.
Hey, great to be on your show again. Well,
Great.
actually, for the first time.
Yes, that's right. First time here in Singapore, and right now Singapore is 9 o'clock in the morning on Monday and Sunday for Arizona, which is 6 o'clock in the evening.
That's
For
right.
for those who don't know, it's kind of exciting. Now look at the backdrop. The backdrop is wonderful. Arizona has wonderful mountains where Mr. Herzog is living. And David, tell us, what is your inspiration behind championing uh, I mean, supernatural health in body, mind, and spirit? Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, a lot of people are very curious to know, well, what does it take to have this inspiration?
The inspiration came because in my travels all over the place, I see believers and secular people sick, basically sick all the time, asking, how do I get healthy? How do I get well? And of course, they're looking for a miracle, but there's also ways to stay in divine health. And that's the impetus for the book, is to teach people not just to get a fix every time they're in trouble, but to live healthy, to live healthier lifestyles. And when you're healthy and mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, everything seems to connect better in life than if you're, let's say, real spiritual, but you're really overweight and you can't sleep at night. Eventually, it'll affect you in other ways. So you want to be healthy in every way so you can fulfill your destiny.
Wait, now, Mr. David, tell us. The next question we have for you is actually coming in from Malaysia, and that is, Mr. Herzog, uh, does health uh, affects the spirit? I mean, it seems that we when we first bought your book, not quite some time ago, you mentioned that health, body and the mind, affects the spirit. Why is it so?
Okay, well, the body, it's like for instance, Daniel and his friends, if you look at the Bible verse, they said they wouldn't eat the king's meat for 3 weeks, and they start eating like raw foods and pulse and different things like this. And during that 3 week period, something happened spiritually as well. They were able to get on a higher level spiritually. It's like when you fast also for a season, maybe you just do juicing, something happens where your body is not taking in the meats and having to digest, and something in the spirit realm opens up. And it's, you look at John the Baptist, you look at so many people around the world and then of course there's other religions that try to copy that. But when you, for a season or even lifestyle, eat healthy or even fast and go on juicing or something like this, it does affect your spirit. Your mind is more clear, your spirit's more clear, you're able to get more clarity in prayer and focus in your life. It does affect, and the same is true when you're not in shape physically. Let's say you're sick, you have the flu or you have a cancer, really hard to get, in a consistent high level in the spirit realm if your body's dragging so much and you're terrible pain. It's hard to focus.
Now, well, Mr. Herzog, thank you for sharing with us that point, and it is really important. Now, a lot of people are trying to figure out, is raw food good? Because there's a lot of Asians having sashimi and sushis and salmon that's raw and so forth,
Yeah.
even octopus and of course some peculiar meats. Why is it raw food for some doctors say is bad and some say is good?
Well,
Can you clarify that?
oh yeah, yeah, very simple. When I talk about raw food, I'm not talking about raw octopus or raw uh, these kind of things. The healthiest raw food is vegetables and fruits that God created. When you eat a vegetable or fruit that's raw, uncooked, I mean, there's a few that you should cook, but in general, you're getting all the nutrients, all the enzymes, all the fiber. When you're cooking your foods all the time, eating cooked meats, cooked potatoes, cooked everything, it takes all the enzymes out. So after a certain age, like when you're young, you can eat anything, you stay skinny. But after a certain age, like 30s, 40s, you start eating cooked food, you start gaining the weight. You don't know why you can't lose the weight. So when you incorporate raw foods in your diet, the enzymes in those foods begin to help you release and easy in, easy out foods is what I call them. When you're young, you have a lot of enzymes. When you're older, you lose those enzymes. You don't get them anymore naturally, so you have to get it from the foods. So what you could eat, a big pizza party when you were 16, and now when you're 60, you have a hard time with that big pizza party. It shows up in your stomach. So when I say raw foods, I'm talking about raw foods that God created naturally. I'm not so much talking about raw fish or raw sushi. That's another, because sometimes those do have a lot of toxins in them when you eat them raw. But people going back to more raw veggies and fruits in their diet, that alone, or juicing them, you get all the full nutrients, the full energy. It's amazing transformation that happens when you start switching your diet.
Now, speaking of great diet, for your upcoming book, Jumpstart 21 Days. Now, that's going to be your inspiration behind it. Tell us, how do you come up with 21 Days Jumpstart for this whole title?
Yeah, 21 days jumpstart. Jumpstart just came because I thought I got to think of a word that will sum it up. And a lot of people just need a jumpstart. They don't want so many complicated, there's so many diet books. You must do this, you must do that, you must do 100 different things. And I just want to get them a jumpstart. If I can get them to get started in health, and then 21 days, it usually takes 21 days to break a bad habit. So if you can do something for 21 days, you start getting addicted to it in a good way. You think, wow, I like this. I feel healthy. I'm thinner. I feel happier. My mind is clear. I pray better. I work better. So 21 days is just a good rule of thumb to get people. If they can do that, they can pretty much carry it on.
Wow. Now, breaking a habit. So, are you talking about any form of habit?
Well, it is a health book. So let's say you're addicted to Starbucks. I don't know if you have Starbucks out there in Singapore.
Or,
I've been to Singapore several times. I didn't see it, but yeah, I think there is one there somewhere. You can people get addicted to anything, cookies or just things that maybe in it itself isn't bad, but if that becomes their main diet, addicted to the internet. I have a chapter on how to reduce stress, even electromagnetic stress. And I know in the States, Europe, and probably in Asia, a lot of people, especially young people, addicted to internet, Facebook, Twitter, computers, and it creates a stress in your body, and people can't sleep at night. They have insomnia. So I deal with one chapter on the stress, not just mental stress, but even stress from electromagnetic stuff. Like you keep your phone by your bedside at night. A lot of times you can't sleep because those electromagnetic frequencies are so strong. Like your grandparents, they slept the moment the sun came down. And most of our grandparents, they say when the sun went down, they slept. In our generation, people can't sleep because there's so much activity going on with the brain, the cell phone waves, the TV, the computer. So I teach them how to control that and not let it control you.
wow, amazing revelation. And now, what's what's the benefit of having this Jumpstart 21 Days versus with the other titles that came up with? Because David Wolf came up with the title Superfoods, the Food of and Medicine of the Future, versus your book. Many of the bookstores are asking around the world, what is the difference between your book and all the other titles?
Oh yeah, okay, very good question. Yeah, I've read David Wolf stuff, and he's got great stuff. I've read all those health books, but a lot of people, what they want is one book that covers it all. So some people like he'll cover raw foods. Others will cover just weight loss. Other books is anti-aging. Other books is emotional, mental stress. I tie it all into one book because even if you eat raw foods, but you have, let's say, anger, bitterness, you're still going to be in trouble. Or let's say you have no stress, but you have physical problems. So what I do, I cover it all in one book: the mind, the body, the spirit, and tie it all in. Because people will get on a weight loss, they'll lose 30 pounds, but they wonder why they're still depressed.
Hmm.
Or they'll get rid of depression, but they wonder why they still have cancer. So I tie it all in together because everything affects the other. If you're not good physically, sometimes also there's reasons like grudges people are holding, or hurts from their parents or from their fathers, and which creates an addiction. So in my book, I cover it all and hit it all in one shot. So you don't have to keep looking and looking and looking for the next solution.
Wow. Now we're going to take a break right now, and we'll come back to with David Herzog with more questions from Asia. Hi, welcome back to the National Critics' Choice, and today we have questions for Mr. David Herzog from Asia and around the world. Mr. David Herzog, there's a question from Korea actually, and that is, dear Mr. Herzog, I read your book previously that you published, uh, and the Natural to Supernatural Health, and I'm excited to hear that you're coming out with a new book, Jumpstart 21 Days. Tell us, you know, what inspired you uh, to stay healthy, and what kind of importance do you see that we need to detox our body?
Oh yeah, well, I travel around the world every week. I'm traveling. In fact, I've been to Singapore about 4 times. I just got back from Russia and Finland and Israel last week. So I travel so much, and so for me, it's important to be healthy so I can be sharp mentally, spiritually, physically, emotionally. I can't afford not to be. When I was young, my mother was really into health. She would read all the health books. We grew up in Sedona, where I now live again, in a very healthy, beautiful town, mountains and nature. And so when you're in a beautiful place like this, it kind of makes you want to be healthy. I don't know what it is. When you're in a city, it's harder. When you go to the countryside, you start thinking, I want to be healthy. I want to go for a walk. I want to eat fruit and veggies. So I've always been into health all my life. And so many people keep asking me, how do I do this? How do I lose weight? How do I cleanse my body? And so that's why I wrote the book. Cleansing is so important because a lot of times when someone tries to start being healthy, they say, okay, from now on, I'm going to be healthy. I'm not going to eat all the bad stuff. But a lot of times there's years and years of fecal matter, meats that were not digested properly, still in the colon. And that's why after a certain age, your body doesn't digest and you just start getting a big stomach. Not, a lot of that isn't even fat. A lot of that is undigested meats in your body. That's why you need to cleanse. Kind of like the pipes are blocked. You get the pipes cleansed first. Then everything you put in it, the nutrients will go exactly where it needs to go. But a lot of times if you don't cleanse the pipes that are blocked up, your colon, your liver, all that stuff, then even if you try to eat healthy, it takes a lot longer to get there.
Wow, what a revelation! No, and speaking about pipes, we have a question that's coming in from well, Indonesia, and that is, dear Mr. Herzog, could you tell us what is the secret of your daily diet?
Okay, I'll tell you. First, I'm going to say terima kasih because we love Indonesia. We've done a lot of great meetings over there. And we love Korea too. Annyeong haseyo, kamsahamnida. So I'll throw that out there. So what my diet, a lot of times I have a garden, as you saw in the first part of the interview. There was a garden behind me. That's a little garden we have in our backyard. So I'll wake up in the morning and I'll go grab like really dark greens. Here we have kale, Kale. It's one of the darkest greens. It's almost like spirulina or chlorella, and it grows. And I take that many times. I put it in my shake. I blend a shake in the morning. Maybe put some cucumbers, some fruit, some coconut water, and I'll take that. And that's like liquid energy going straight to your body because you don't have to digest it. If you juice it or blend it, it goes straight into your bloodstream and instant energy. So I'll do that many times in the morning, and then in the afternoon, many times I'll make a salad. I'll have a fresh salad. I'll put some avocados. I'll put some, different fruits and stuff on it. And then at night, sometimes that's when I'll have my cooked meal. Because at night, when you eat a cooked meal, that's when like in America, we have Thanksgiving. You eat a big Thanksgiving meal, you feel very sluggish and tired. So when you eat a big meal, you don't want to eat your big cooked meal in the early part of the day when you have to go to work, when you need to be sharp and alert. But you want to do it at night because then it makes you sleep a lot better. So at night, then I love quinoa and different kind of things. I do like salmon every now and then. So that's kind of how my diet. And then I travel a lot. So then when I travel, I try to bring things with me. I have these organic raw food bars that I bring with me. It's just all organic raw stuff. And then when I go to a restaurant, I try to pick the healthiest thing I can, a salad and this and that. So it's a little bit of a challenge, but in a way it's great because I'm a health coach and I wrote the book. So it keeps me on the edge. It's interesting when I go to like other countries. Indonesia, it was interesting over there. The fruits were wonderful, the coconuts, but a lot of the food was fried. So I had a hard time getting away from the fried food. So you do the best you can when you travel. But when I'm home, I could just do it the best possible.
Now, next question is coming in from New Zealand, and that is,
Oh, great.
Dear Mr. Herzog, could you tell us how do you measure uh, calories? Because we keep on reading those calories on the back of the labels, but often it
Yes.
deceives us. So how do you measure 1 calorie, 2 calories? Especially right now, I'm 50 years old. I'm trying to figure out how much meat should I have per day or per week. How do you gauge yourself?
Okay, well that's like three questions. So
Sorry.
calories and then there's meat. So calories is what I do. If you eat a lot of raw foods, honestly, I don't have to count the calories. I just, you're not going to gain weight eating cucumbers and lettuce and a little bit of avocado. So if you're eating that raw food all the time, if you go into the grocery store and buying packaged food, that's dead food. It's not alive. There's no enzymes. There's hardly any nutrition in it. It's all been killed. So, basically, if you read the book, you'll get an idea. You'll realize, wait, I don't even need to even be eating this stuff to count the calories. So that's one. If you're eating raw natural stuff, you don't have to worry too much about the calories. Number two, the meats in the Western diet. So New Zealand, maybe like America, they eat a lot of meats. They eat at breakfast, lunch, dinner. And when you eat meat, for example, you eat a big steak at night, that takes you about 8 hours to digest that easily. And then you eat mashed potatoes with it. Potatoes and steak don't go good together. It slows your digestion. So for instance, if you are going to eat meat, let's say you're going to eat meat, you're not a vegetarian, mix it with a raw salad. That will cut the digestion time in half. So, and then I wouldn't eat meats 3 times a day because your body doesn't need. That's a phenomenon in the last 50 years as economies got more prosperous. You're seeing in the Asia, India, now they all want to eat meats like the Westerners, but their food was better before. So one thing I would advise, don't copy the West in eating lots of meats. That's one thing you don't need to copy. Your foods are a lot of the countries are already healthy. I would cut down the meats. Maybe, some days, you eat meats, let's say at night. Maybe start off just doing it at night if you're used to eating it 3 times a day. Then just do it a few days a week. But there's other things you can eat that gives you nutrition. They can give you protein. There's natural plant proteins. So I would combine it. Meats, like steaks and stuff, take a little longer to digest. Fish is a lot lighter. If you can get wild fish, it's a little bit better. So as you read the book, you'll get an idea. It's not legalistic, you just start where you're at and you start to make the improvements. It's not something where everybody has to be 100%, and everyone's got a little bit different bodies. So some people need more of this, some need more of that, but you got to start somewhere. First thing I would advise you, just cleanse your body. Do a liver cleanse, colon cleanse, get cleansed, and then you'll be a lot better. Your body will be able to process calories and all the other things. I try to give you a good answer because you gave me like 3 questions in one question. So I give you 3 answers or maybe 10 answers in one answer.
No problem. Now, a question from Japan, from Tokyo. Dear Mr. Herzog, my name is Mr. Obayashi, and I would like to know how do you manage to get rid of your wrinkles? Is there a formula?
Wow, that's a good question. Well, that you got me on that one. There's different things I talk about in my book for wrinkles. I talk about certain foods that can help with wrinkles, and there's certain supplements. I'll name one of them. One of them called BioSil, and it helps the silica in your skin to start regrowing back. So there's different natural things that you can do. Even I've seen people where they change and their hair that was getting white starts turning back to black. So that would be under the anti-aging chapter. There's a lot of high-level stuff you can do for anti-aging, wrinkles, varicose veins, even balding. We've seen people start to reverse balding with some of these things. So in the book, I have a lot of advanced scientific things in the book that will help you with that stuff.
Wow, balding is a big issue here in Singapore.
Yeah,
And-
I was completely bald, and look what happened to me. No, I'm joking. I was not bald.
Yeah. Now that speaking about balding, we have a question from Cambodia and Phnom Penh City, and the question is this: Dear Mr. Herzog, I've been to the U.S. and I bought your book. Uh, it's called Natural to Supernatural Health, and
Yes.
my question is that how do you avoid balding processes, or is balding unavoided, but can it be cured? Is there a cure for
Well,
balding?
okay, that's a good question. So one of the thing is sometimes it's genetic. There are genetic things where you're going to look like your father or whatever. But there's also with diet, there's ways you can reverse, or let's say you don't have balding yet, but you're scared you might get it. It sounds like that's what he's saying, that his father maybe has it, his grandfather. So there's certain things you can do to avoid it if you read the book. Also, I know this is a different subject, but we also do meetings, miracle meetings, which is separate from food. And we have seen people, bald people, grow hair documented right in the meeting. So
Wow,
there's natural way. That's why there's natural ways, and then there's supernatural ways that God can do things.
amazing, and well said. Now, Mr. David Herzog, before we go further, we'd like to know what are the three key things after you've written the 21 days jumpstart. What are the three key things that you have actually learned from this experience after you've written this book?
Oh, after I wrote the book,
Yes.
I learned that a good editor is incredible. You have to have a good editor. And I learned no, I learned about I think you're saying about health. What did I learn about health, right?
Yes.
Well, one interesting thing I found out is that when the early days, when some of the people discovered some different Aborigine groups or the Eskimos or some of the natives in different countries before the Westerners came or the white men came, like their teeth were perfect before they were introduced to Westernized foods. Perfect teeth. They didn't know about toothbrushes and flossing and dentists, and they couldn't. And they were surprised. It was a Dr. Price. He was a famous dentist, and he wrote many, many books and discoveries. And what they found was the Westernized foods with the high starch, the white breads, the sugary things would begin to erode and destroy the teeth. And so I have an amazing thing on teeth in there. And now I found discoveries that there's certain devices now that can help regrow enamel in the tooth. Certain sound devices from Canada that they created that if you put them in there, it'll start to vibrate maybe the base of the gums and start to help regrow teeth. So I found a lot of scientific things. Walking barefoot. When you walk barefoot, for some people, your circulation to your heart's a lot better. In the early 50s, even the 20s in the United States, there was not hardly any foot doctors because kids would run barefoot in the summertime and the muscles in the bottom of their feet were always strong. These days you have such shoes that are so powerful and great and that it's almost overcompensates and we never use the muscles in the bottom of our feet and it affects your heart in some way, circulation. So I found a lot of interesting little things that you might not find in most books.
Wow, walking barefoot. Yeah, that's something that we
Yeah, you
need
don't want to
to.
do that in Singapore on the sidewalk, but maybe on the grass or something or on the beach.
Yeah, of course. Now, another question that's actually coming in from Thailand, and this is going to be
Okay.
interesting for you. Dear Mr. Herzog, who was your mentor or your inspiration that drive you to stay healthy and write books about health? Well, was there someone in your life that that gives you that revelation? And if so, why?
Well, first of all, growing up, my mother was super healthy and my father. I don't know why, but they were just one of the healthiest people, always studying health. They were always on the cutting edge, even in those days. Like my father, way back in the 60s, he took 60s or 70s, he took a blood test where they took his blood, froze it, and then re-injected it into him, something like this, that would cause him to be immune when he's older. Now he's 75 and he has almost no sickness at all. So he did a lot of advanced things. So they were like my models. And then as I grew up, I traveled the world, I lived overseas, and I had friends who were in the ministry, and they were healing people that would heal the sick and miracles, and they were dying of cancers and of sicknesses. And I prayed and I said, God, why is this? Why are these people that love God dying of sicknesses? They even see miracles. And he told me when I prayed, he said, well, some of my people, they obey my spiritual laws, but they don't obey my physical laws of rest or of foods that I created on the earth. So you reap what you sow in whatever area, even if it's out of ignorance. And that really woke me up to really go full blown, even more into health. And then I started experimenting on myself even more so, even though I was healthy, because I didn't want my fate to be like that. And then I started studying about rest, when you don't rest, what happens to the body, certain foods that heal certain sicknesses. And that really got me going. And then I got really into it towards people asked me to talk about it all the time. And then it led me to write the books to help lots more people. So I don't know if that's a multiple answer, but that's what really led me. And then, of course, I read a lot of other people and studied under other people. But my parents were probably the first influence at a very young age. I noticed how healthy they were, how healthy I was because of them. They wouldn't let me eat, drink Coca-Cola or Twinkies, and I felt deprived as a child. My friends would have Twinkies and candy bars, and I would have like Ezekiel bread and granola bars. And I thought, what is wrong with my parents? They're not cool. But as I grew up, I realized what a blessing that was that they raised me that way.
Amazing. Now we have a question from Taiwan, and that is, dear Mr. Herzog, uh, Asia is growing at an alarming rate where many children are having uh, obesity. Obesity is everywhere right now at
Yes.
an alarming rate. What can we do to reduce obesity? What advice can you give, especially for governments and educators, on how to encourage children to eat healthy? What sort of recommendation could you give?
For governments to help kids to eat healthy. So they have to make it sound exciting to the kids, like, oh, you're cool if you eat healthy. You're going to be happier if you eat healthy. You'll be better at sports if you're healthy. You look better. Kids always care how they look. So, and it's true. If they eat healthier, all those things will happen. So I would sell it that way. Like, it's cool to be healthy. It's cool not to smoke, not to eat. And then of course the kids also, they can eat alternative things that taste really good. I mean, I eat raw chocolate. There's a place in town, they make raw organic chocolate. Chocolate's a plant, and they don't put sugar. They put other natural sweeteners into the chocolate, like agave or stevia, and it's actually nourishing and healthy. So there's different ways you can slowly start introducing the foods, start doing commercials, start doing, the youth today are very open into movies, videos. That's what draws the youth today. It's not so much telling them in a school or textbook. So if you're in the government, I would create a whole department that would just create videos, health coaches that come in that are fun for the kids that, in a way that can relate to them. And slowly you'll start seeing a generation of people get off of it. Also show them the results of it. You have to scare them a little bit and show them. What scared me once, when I got a colon, I was getting a colon cleanse and just cleaning my colon. And one day this lady showed me this photo of a man that he died of obesity. And they opened up his stomach and they look at his intestines, and his intestines were so incredibly big. And what killed him was he had so much junk in his intestines and his colon that it couldn't get released, and he ultimately died of obesity. And so something like that, my little girl who's 12 now, she saw that photo of the intestines, and she was about 8 years old. 8 years old, and my little girl said, "Dad, I want to eat healthy from now on." So there's different ways to help the kids, to motivate them to be healthy.
Great. Wow. You're truly an inspiration, Mr. Herzog. And another question is from Singapore, and that is, dear Mr. David Herzog, what's next for you? Are you in the process of writing another book, and would you be coming to Asia anytime soon?
I hope so. I'm writing. Yeah, I'm always writing another book, so that's always in the process. And I hope to come. I've been to Singapore like 4 times. I've been to Indonesia many times. I've been to. I just got back from Korea last year. We've been in so many different countries, Malaysia, and I think I'll be coming to Hong Kong sometime next year. There's a door that's open into Hong Kong. So if I go to Hong Kong next year, if you want me to come to Singapore, let me know, and I'll combine it. I will come to Singapore also and do something fun in Singapore with you.
Now, the last question is this, dear Mr. Herzog, uh, if you are going to be writing your next book, what title would you give, and what will that be?
It depends who's asking.
Oh, okay.
Is it a believer asking, a government person, a secular? Because I have different books.
Well, it happens to be a fan of yours from Singapore.
Okay. The next book, it's a supernatural book. It's not a health book, and it's going to be coming out almost at the same time, and it's going to be self-published first, so you can get it, on Amazon or or probably our website. It's going to be called The Courts of Heaven: How to Access the Courts of Heaven. Literally, go to the court of heaven, plead your case before the judge of heaven and earth, and see results within amazing, like minutes sometimes. I'll give you an example. I was in Russia recently, St. Petersburg, and I had some Christian material which they didn't like because it was in Russian, and they said, "What? You can't bring this in." And they detained me for about an hour and a half. And my wife reminded me, my awesome, beautiful Asian American wife, she reminded me, "Honey, we should go to the courts of heaven." So we closed our eyes, prayed, said, "Lord, we go to the court of heaven. We go before the judge. We ask you to rule on this situation. Cover us in the blood of anything anything with us that would be wrong, or any heart or issues, or Lord, we just cleanse us, forgive us of anything, any bad attitude. We bless these people here in Russia." So see, when you're covered in the blood, then the enemy can't accuse you in the court of heaven. And then we present the case. Within 5 minutes, the Russian authorities came back and said, "You can leave now, go." 5 minutes before, they held us for an hour and a half, and they said we would not be able to get in the country, we would not be able to bring our books. So we've seen so many amazing stories on how to access heaven and see results on the earth very fast.
Well, thank you, Mr. David Herzog, for sharing with us your new book that's coming up. And folks, please take note that this program is sponsored by Charisma House and Cilium from Strength Communications. And once again, Mr. David Herzog, thank you for joining us here. And before we actually go, could you share with us how can our viewers get more information from you? Do you have a website, Facebook?
Yes. Yeah, the website, they can go to my website, sedonanaturals.com. That's one website. We have a vitamin line, like 50 different products and health things, and they can get the book there. Right now, the book's not out yet. It will be out till January. So just look for that website. You can also get it at David Herzog Bookstore, I think, .com, something like that, or thegloryzone.org. It'll be on those websites, and you'll be able to get the book. Right now, in about a week or so, we'll have it on the websites for pre-order, and then as soon as it comes, you'll be able to get it. So
That's
I hope you guys all get it, and I'm excited, and I love Asia. I mean, my wife is Asian, so I have to love Asia. And I love
that's
you guys. I love everybody that's writing in Cambodia. I've never been to Cambodia, but just God bless Asia. And I know Asia is a really awesome place. Something new and fresh is happening in Asia that's never happened before. Something awesome is happening in those nations spiritually, physically, financially, in every way. There's like Asia is rising and will be a force on the earth. And so I just love Asia, and I know it's a very important part of the world right now.
amazing. And before we actually go, I have one burning question
Yes.
that's come in from Singapore again, and it's from the expat community, from the American community actually,
Okay.
and that is, dear Mr. Herzog, could you tell us how did you met your wife, your American Asian wife? We saw that on the website, and was it because of your looks that you keep of your and the secrets of keeping yourself healthy, and what is the secret behind it?
Oh, my wife is very good looking, so I don't know. I think it was her looks that drew me to her. No, she's very beautiful. We met actually. We went to a Bible school. At school, we got a diploma in theology years ago, many years ago, about 22 years ago, and I met her there. She was there studying, and she's from Chicago. Her parents are Filipino. She's from Chicago. I'm from Arizona, and we met in Dallas, Texas. And just we met. We had the similar destinies. We just there was an automatic click. We just knew it's one of those things, or love at first sight. You know that you know you're meant to be together. It was beyond looks. It was beyond, it was everything. There were so many signs confirming that she was supposed to be my wife, that I would be crazy not to marry her. So it was just, it's one of those things where if you just trust God and you just do what you're supposed to do in life, things will come to you. If you strive to make it happen, or I see people try to go on the internet and try to find a girlfriend or a wife on the internet, I don't trust all that stuff. I would just, trust God. Give your life to God. God, trust Jesus, the highest power source, and just do what you're supposed to do, and these things will come. There's a scripture that says, "Seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and then all these other things will be added to you." So I hope that helps you if you're looking for your wife.
Well said, and for by David Herzog. And for those who are looking forward to his book, please do log on to his website, or you can actually place an order with Christmas House as well as Amazon.com for advance orders. And of course, we're looking forward to your book and have a review over it. Well, once again, thank you so much, and have a good week ahead.
Oh, thank